My friends, what I want to talk to you today about is the female cheaters around Valentine's Day, more specifically. So much attention gets focused on men who cheat, especially around these days, even though women do this more. But I'll talk about that some other time. What I want to talk about today, though, is the tactics that the female cheater around Valentine's Day will use. To the male cheater, they will have the same inner turmoil of a divided self where they know they're lying to both parties, but they're lying to the person they're cheating with less. Because usually that person knows that they're in a relationship, so they can be way more open. They can feel more comfortable with that person. They might prioritize that person. What the female cheater tends to do that the male cheater doesn't do is use their vulnerabilities as support. They'll use the feelings that they're feeling overwhelmed, distance. The male cheater doesn't do that. He'll use other things like work stresses or other things like that. But the female cheater is more prone to use vulnerable or covert tactics. When I say vulnerability or demonstrating distress, sometimes they can cause the fight through a process of like love bombing, devaluing you immediately thereafter, and creating a little bit of distance in order for them to be able to navigate both relationships. The love bombing will be like saying, I've always supported you. I've always been there for you. Here's some nice gesture that I'm going to do that might be more thoughtful than what you're going to do anyway. So that I can then use this as evidence to be upset with you, to get space from you. And as I'm getting space from you, I'm shaming you and I'm putting you down and I'm blaming all of my inner turmoil on you, ignoring the fact that I've been lying to you the whole time. And now that I've created enough space, I could temporarily put you on the side and then dedicate energy towards this other person, especially around Valentine's Day. That's one tactic. The other moves that the female cheater will do, again, is using the fact that the person that they're with is probably not going to be so questioning. They don't want to have another fight. It's around Valentine's Day. So they're working hard to gain approval from the person that they care about. And this person's already being hostile. So they become less questioning, less enticed to have a fight around this time. So they don't question. They have less desire to look at the female cheater's phone. They have less desire to fact check. So they tend to allow their own, let's say, desire for peacefulness. The lack of appetite for conflict gets exploited. The beliefs that women cheat less than men gets exploited, even though statistically that's false. And the other thing that they do from a vulnerable presentation to try and manipulate the male in their life in order to continue an affair, especially around Valentine's Day, is to highlight, hey, my friend, she's alone on Valentine's Day. She just went through a breakup. She's alone. These days are painful for her. My friend's newly divorced. I'm going to spend that day with her so she doesn't feel so alone. Or can we build our plans around her? I don't think she wants to play third wheel. There's no point in you coming. It'll just highlight her sense of isolation and loneliness. I'll go out with her and me and you will do something special a different time. That kind of lie. She's not actually out with her friend. She's out with a different friend. If these are the kinds of things that happen around Valentine's Day. They can happen at any time. But Valentine's Day is far worse because of the social pressures of needing to be prioritized on Valentine's Day as a societal symbol of the relationship. The female cheater, far more prone to getting away with it. A lot of the behaviors that she would be doing, let's say at the dinner table, similar to the male, whether it's like the obsessive phone checking or going to the bathroom often to go respond to messages. It's just usually the male in that dynamic is less questioning about the content than the female counterpart in the opposite dynamic. The other difference is usually the female cheater is exploiting the fact that the primary male partner that she's with is usually less demanding than the female cheater herself. So that difference of flexibility versus rigidity gets highlighted and exploited in that dynamic. The female cheater is typically a rather rigid person, despite presenting as very flexible or amendable to influence. The reality is they're quite rigid and do so maintain an image of flexibility in a very manipulative way, which allows them greater freedom to exploit multiple men at the same time. And I'm putting you on notice so that this is you, whether you're the cheater, I'm on to you, but more so for the sake of the relationship as a whole, so we can seek help. And for the male that's being exploited, these are some things to be mindful of and paying attention to as you get closer and closer to Valentine's Day.